Waking up in the middle of the night, Sarah felt a strange uneasiness, as if someone was standing by her bed watching her. The room was silent, but the air felt thick, like before a storm. Moonlight filtered through the slightly open curtains. She slowly turned her head and froze. A little boy was sitting on the edge of the bed. Pale in pajamas, he looked old-fashioned, as if from the 80s. His large eyes glowed in the dark with a strange gray sheen, and his lips curved into a guilty smile. "Who are you?" whispered Sarah, feeling her heart sink with horror. The boy didn't answer right away. He looked at her with surprise, as if he didn't expect her to recognize him. "Sister, it's me, your big brother Tommy," he said softly, almost affectionately. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "What? I don't have a brother." The boy tilted his head slightly to one side, and his eyes darkened. "You just forgot. I've always been here. It's just, I'm not allowed to show myself. Who won't let you?" Sarah's voice trembled. He didn't answer. He just slowly got up from the bed and headed for the door. His footsteps made no sound, as if he weren't touching the floor. Sarah grabbed her phone, turned on the flashlight, and illuminated the room. The boy was gone. However, the boy's face and voice seemed very familiar to her. In the morning, Sarah felt exhausted. All night long, she had a dream in which she and the boy were running through sunny fields near her grandmother's house. They were laughing and throwing grass at each other. The boy was Tommy, the same boy she had seen in her room. The dream was so vivid that the smell of hay seemed to linger in the room. That same morning, while no one was home, Sarah went up to the attic. It was a place no one had visited in a long time. The old house creaked, and dust hung in the air like a thick fog. Boxes of photo albums stood against the wall. Sarah took one out, blew the dust off it, and leafed through the pages. And suddenly, in one photo she saw herself, a 3-year-old girl in a blue dress. Next to her stood a boy of about 6, with those same dark eyes. They were holding hands and smiling. Sarah's legs buckled. She clutched the photo, her breath catching in her throat. At that moment, the door downstairs slammed. Her mother had returned from work. Sarah ran downstairs, clutching the photo to her chest. "Mom, who is this boy in the photo?" she almost shouted. Her mother froze. An expression of horror appeared on her face that Sarah had never seen before. "Where did you find this photo?" "In the album." "Mom, tell me who he is." A long pause, then quietly, "Your brother." His name was Tommy. The world around her seemed to collapse. "Why didn't you tell me?" "We wanted to forget," her mother's voice trembled. "He was 6 when he disappeared. We thought he had just run away to play, but then we found only his shoes by the old well behind the house. Why did you hide this from me? You were little. We didn't want you to remember that day." That night, Sarah couldn't sleep. Every sound seemed like a footstep, every creak like a whisper. She opened the album again and noticed that the background in the photo with Tommy had changed. The well behind them had disappeared. Instead, there was an empty space covered by a gray blur. She blinked. Her heart was racing. A quiet knock came from the corner of the room. Sarah looked up and saw Tommy. He was standing in the shadows by the window. "Now you remember, little sister?" he asked. Sarah couldn't say a word. "I whispered your name the whole time, but you didn't hear me," the boy continued. "Mom said I drowned." However, that's not true. They just closed the well cover to forget. "Shut up," Sarah whispered, pressing her hands to her ears. He walked toward her. Tommy was getting closer. With each step, his face grew paler until his skin became almost transparent. Blue shadows appeared around his eyes like traces of water. "I waited for you to remember. Now we can be together." "Look into the well," Sarah screamed, turned on the light, and the room was empty. In the morning, Sarah called her mother and told her she was going to her grandmother's old house. She wanted to find out everything about her older brother herself. The house was on the outskirts of town. The yard was overgrown with weeds, and there was indeed a well. It was in the backyard, wrapped in a rusty chain and covered with a lid. Sarah knocked off the boards. The smell of dampness and rot hit her nose. She shone her flashlight into the darkness inside, and for a second saw a child's hand clinging to the edge of the stone. Sarah screamed and recoiled. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out from the depths. "Sister, help me out!" She stood there, unable to move. "Tommy? I'm cold, Sarah. Help me." With trembling hands, she grabbed the chain and pulled. The water in the well stirred and something gurgled below. And suddenly, the boy's face appeared out of the darkness. It was pale and swollen, his hair matted with water. However, his eyes were the same, alive. "You found me," he said, reaching out his hand. Sarah couldn't resist. She grabbed it. The hand was cold as ice. At that moment, a gust of air burst out of the well. Sarah screamed as she was pulled down, as if the abyss itself had grabbed her. A few hours later, her mother arrived at her grandmother's old house. She was worried that Sarah wasn't answering her calls. Walking across the yard, she found only an old photo album and a flashlight by the well. The well cover was open. She called her daughter's name, then looked into the well. Black water splashed there. Suddenly, children's laughter came from below. Not one, but two children's voices. A boy's and a girl's, merging into a strange, cold melody. The mother recoiled, covering her mouth with her hands. A faint reflection appeared in the well. Two children standing side by side, Sarah and Tommy. They were holding hands and looking up.